Hello everybody, I'm Steve and welcome to Greenside Up. So I normally have this done by now, normally have my melons planted out, but two reasons why they aren't. One is I've only just finished this tunnel and that's where I wanted to plant them, and the second one is the very late spring. So I'm going to get them out now. Normally these plants are a lot smaller, a lot easier to deal with, but we'll manage. So I'm just going to plant them, dug a little hole, blood fish and bone as usual in the hole. Now I've got this long trailing vine similar to a cucumber with a couple of side shoots coming off from various points in the plant, and what I need to do is I need to tie this up to this mesh. This is 4 foot tall, this mesh, and train these on to carry on growing. Ideally, what you would normally do is when the plant is got up to about 5 leaves, you would chop the top off and allow some side shoots to develop. And I think the recommendation is for 4 side shoots, and you train them off in a cross fashion. And you can grow them along the ground, scrambling in the cold frame, or up like I am here to save space. But I've tried the 4 before and it's never worked really well for me. I've never had the melons ripen well enough and grow to a decent size, so I always go for 2. So over the coming weeks I'll see which is growing the strongest and pruning everything else out that I don't need. But for now, that is it. So I'm going to plant, I've got 6 to plant. I'm going to plant 2 here, then there's another frame here, 4 foot tall again. I'll plant 2 on the other side of that and then 2 elsewhere. Now it's the same with all cucurbits, demand for food. They're a hungry plant and they're also a very thirsty plant. They need tons of water, so keep them very moist. You can, if you wish, create a bit of a saucer around the plant so that the water will go straight down, and it works well enough. Just so the water concentrates around the plant and goes straight down into the soil. Or you could probably use a tomato halo if you wanted to. So there we go. I'll just feed this gently through just to get it started. It will climb and cling on its own, but as always with gardening, we want to train and tell it where we want it to grow. So I have a few side shoots already growing there, so we'll just see which does best. And I say, once it's off and running and growing, then we'll make a decision on which ones to keep. But I'll have 4 vines going up there, essentially. There we go, melons. Oh, and the variety is Hale's Best. So I want to start getting some plants in this side bed now, and mostly it's going to be tomatoes in this bed. But I have got 1 or 2 extras. I mean, I've got an aubergine here, and this one is fruited in its pot. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to grow it up this stuff, which is hop rope, and I'm going to tie it up to the crop bar up there, wrap it underneath the plants, and let it grow away. So just move the plant dig a nice hole, blood fish and bone, and these are the grafted aubergines. I think they were black pearl. Just take off that lower leaf, put the strings down into the hole, plant on top of it. There we go, that can wind its way up there now. So that's nice and easy, just give that a water. And I'll do the same with the other one up there. Right, so I'm putting a tomato in here, and there'll be a lot of tomatoes going down this side. And just dug a hole out there about, it must be about 15 inches deep. Good and deep to give it a good deep root run. Plenty of blood fishing bone in the hole. Here's the plant, Crimson Crush. I better stand up to unpot this. So this is one of my spares or extra plants that I grew early in the season. And I'm glad I grew them, really, to be honest, because you also, well, you can track back on the videos. I'll put a link up here. But my tomato plants got all quite badly frosted. And if I hadn't have had spare plants, it wouldn't have been good. So at this time of year I like to have spare plants if any aren't performing quite well, and there's one in the main polytunnel there that I may replace. It's good to have these spares, and of course I knew I was putting this tunnel up, so I had a few more than normal. So that's Crimson Crush, it's all been side shooted. Should grow away well here, and I'll put two more here, one here, just one either side of my knees, and we'll get them in. Then I've got some other varieties to go up there. Right, this variety is Ailsa Craig, and it's another spare plant, and it's, to be honest with you, it's looking quite sorry for itself. It's thin and spindly in a sort of 9cm pot. There ain't much of it. Some of the leaves are dying, but I think that will grow on. I'll give it a chance, and I'm going to plant them chiefly because it's Ailsa Craig, and I love the flavour of those. It's one of those plants and one of those varieties that people measure tomato flavour against. So just plant them as normal, dig a hole. I'm not going as deep as the Crimson Crush because there isn't the rootstock on this. Just firm it in, and I'll put a little stake in. It will need a much better stake later on, but that will do for now, and we'll see how these do. I'll fill the rest of this up with these Ailsa Craig, and we'll see how they get on during the season. So I mean, they're reasonable plants, they just look a bit tired in that compost. So a bit of feed, a bit of water, a bit of warmth in here, and they should crack on away. I'll carry on now and finish off the rest of this bed. So a couple of weeks ago, when I was side shooting these Crimson Crush plants that are all along the back here in the big tunnel, I put the side shoots straight into soil, and you can see them all here. There's a row of them. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you can see they're all growing on. All I did was dib a hole, use my homegrown dibber, dib a hole, put the plants in, and away that goes. So I'm going to dig them up now and plant them out elsewhere. And when these go in elsewhere, so they've only been in a couple of weeks, you can see the root growth on them. They'll sulk a little bit for a week, and then they'll fire off and get going. But these are now essentially just mini-me's of the parent plants. So these will grow and fruit this year, albeit a little bit later than these. You can see these have already got fruit on here, so you know, so these will fruit a little bit after, but they are early fruiting plants, and that's key to this method. If you've got a variety that you like that fruits early, then it's perfect for this method. Just take the side shoots off, put them in the soil, grow them on and plant them out. You can see this has already got flowers starting here. Maybe can't see, but they're just starting here, I think. So we'll go and plant them. I've got a few more here as well, actually. I'll take a couple of these as well. And this is something I do every year. It spreads the crop for me. So there we go, that should be enough. We'll go and plant them in the new tunnel. So there's this nice long strip here, just in front of the sweet corn, the mini pop sweet corn. Just going to dig a few little holes and get these in. Same crack as usual, blood, fish and bone in the hole. Now normally when I'm growing tomatoes, what I have a tendency to do is I'll either dig some well-rotted manure into the bed that I'm growing tomatoes in, or plant them into some well-rotted manure in the spring, or some compost. I've used compost in the big tunnel this year. But a bit short on supplies this year, so everything in this tunnel has been planted with blood, fish and bone only. Now I know it'll work, so that's fine, but you know, it'll be interesting to see how everything does in this tunnel this year. There we go, plants for free. So we're going to have a quick look inside now that I've finished. And we've got the tomatoes planted all the way down here now. These are all Ailsa Craigs. There's an aubergine there, grafted, black pearl, a few more Ailsa Craig tomatoes, 3 crimson crush and another aubergine. And spinning round, we've got the sweet corn mini pop, big patch of it there, and then these are side shoots from crimson crush all planted along here. So they were planted, taken off the main crimson crush plants 2 weeks ago, put a pot into soil and allowed to grow on some roots and planted out. Got some melons growing up there. They will need pruning in the next week, 10 days. A few French beans cobra down there, and then on this other side some aubergines, and there's a little space here to finish off with, which will be done on another day. I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to plant there yet. Might be more tomatoes yet, we'll see. So this is the first time I've actually sat down here, and it's nice to be surrounded by plants rather than tools, nuts, bolts, nails, wrenches and drills and things. It's nice to actually have some plants in the ground finally. Nearly full, there's just this top corner to fill up here. Now overall I'm not entirely sure what the intended use will be for this tunnel, whether it becomes a cropping greenhouse as I've set it out for this year, because this is just a test, just to see how well things do grow in here. My initial aim was down here to have a polytunnel that was for propagation, for growing the seedlings on, growing cuttings on, nursery beds down on the floor here. That was the sort of idea. But I just thought I would see, because of the very good height up here, I thought it might be nice to see if I can get good crops out of here, and if these tomatoes do well and how tall they get before the end of the season. You know, we'll all have a bearing on what decision I make. Is it what I have to bear in mind is right over my shoulders now, over there is where the sun rises in the morning, and you'll probably be able to make out that my big polytunnels there, and there's a big shed, so this doesn't get sunlight from first thing in the morning. You have to wait for the sun to start arcing round over there. The sun's up here right now, starts to arc around about 10 o'clock in the morning. We start to get the sunshine on here, so that may have some bearing onto it. And also for the winter as well, because in the winter, in the summer the sun's up here, but in the winter it's down here, so that will have a bearing on it as well. But I will grow crops in here over this winter, along with a few other things that I want to do. So it's to see how that happens, and then hopefully by next spring I can get myself all sorted out and know where I'm growing everything a bit better and be better informed because of what I'm doing now. But anyway, I'm just going to enjoy it for now, I really am. And yeah, I'm very, very, very pleased with this end result. Look after yourselves, everyone. Stay safe. I'll see you all very, very soon. Ta-ra now.